My name is Nicole Keeson. I'm the event marketing specialist here at Consensus, and I will be your moderator for today's session. This webinar is presented by Consensus, the product experience platform that empowers sales teams to deliver interactive demos, engaging product tours, and immersive simulations, unlocking insights, reducing friction in the sales cycle, and accelerating every deal. And you can learn more at goconsensus.com. So before we jump in, I'd like to share that we are launching a brand new event here at Consensus, and this time it's for our sales folks. So RevAmp is a one-day virtual conference built for sales leaders who know that enabling buyers is the fastest path to revenue. So join us. It is next week, November 5th. It's free to attend. We have an incredible lineup of speakers. I'm talking CEOs, CROs, VPs. Like, it is going to be awesome. So I'll share the link in the chat afterwards, but we're really excited. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers, please join us. It's going to be a great day. All right, so before I introduce our speakers today, I'd like to encourage you to participate in today's webinar. Please feel free to post your questions at any time through the Q&A box. It's going to be on the right side of your console. Feel free to use the chat throughout the session. And then if at any times you're having technical difficulties, there should be a little gear icon at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to use that. It'll give you some tips on how to troubleshoot. Okay, so now please help me in welcoming our speakers. Today we are joined by three Consensus experts. We have Anand Sabaya, he's the SVP of Product. Brian Zurcher is the Director of Product here at Consensus, and then Lindsay Doherty is an Account Executive. So they are all joining me on the stage. Give them a second to get settled, and I will turn the rest of the time over to you all.
Awesome, great. Thank you all for joining us today. So let's jump right into it. The reality is most of the time when your buyers are jumping into the funnel, they're not talking to you, right? They're educating, self-learning, self-researching. So if they're not talking to you, how do you help guide this and how do you help move them along that process? And obviously that's where we come into play. As a demo automation and product experience platform, our goal is simple. It's to help you push those buyers through the funnel to close deals faster and more successfully. And we do this by providing easy product experiences that are rich and engaging, whether they're tours, videos, or simulations, to cater to all those different buyers in the buying group, as well as insights. And those key buyer insights are critical because that's going to help you know what to do next. And those aren't just insights that we use in our platform, but insights that you can use across your go-to-market stack. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal, right? Is connecting the dots so that you know the right moves to make, the best things to do based on all the engagement across that buying experience. Because it's not just about what they're doing when they're talking to you, it's about what they're doing the entire time. Now, when we talk about insights, the natural progression of that conversation is AI. So AI, the solver of all of our problems, the cause of our downfall, depending on who you talk to, it's probably a different conversation. But one thing we know is we get a lot of these questions around, is AI going to replace me? And I saw this post by a developer the other day, and I thought it was really funny because it reminded me that AI does so many amazing things, and it does it at speeds that we've never really fathomed before. But there's a lot of things that it can do, and there's a lot of things that it cannot do well. And it's really a partnership, and it's really about how you leverage AI to achieve your goals. And that's why while AI is not going to replace you, the people that are using it, the people that are leveraging it to really supercharge themselves, those people will. So then you run into the next problem, though. Everything says it has AI, right? I mean, you go to any site, any company, any offering, and it's gotten pretty crazy. Right, you go to the grocery store, and I saw this popcorn that is infused with AI so that it knows how to pop every kernel so that every kernel is popped into the right way. And that's cool and all, but this wasn't really a problem that I was trying to solve. I'm okay with a couple of kernels sitting in the bag. And this is the challenge that you get when you have these major technological revolutions, is you get that shiny toy syndrome. Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And wouldn't it be cool if we get that? And you get all these solutions that actually don't solve anything. And this is the fundamental mistake that people have made with AI. AI is not a goal. AI is a tool to help you achieve that goal, right? You're all here today because, hey, you need a platform that can help you convey the value of your products to your buyers and do that at scale and do that in an easy fashion to show that the problems that you solve. So the real question is, how can we leverage AI to solve problems? And there are a ton of them. I mean, if you look across the entire funnel, there are problems everywhere. Now, whether it's marketing using generic content and demos, driving poor quality leads, your pre-sales team spending way too much time not only creating demos but personalizing them, so they don't have time to do anything else. Your sales team is doing so much prep, trying to connect dots from all these different systems so much that they don't have any time to do anything strategic. And even when they do get into that demo, they're just going back and forth without advancing the deal. Finally, even after you close that, your CS team, they're spending time doing generic onboarding and remedial tasks instead of really strategic account growth. And finally, your RevOps, your go-to-market team. You've got all these tools, all these systems, all these data points, but they're not talking to each other. They're not connected. Where do I go to get the answers that I'm looking for? And here's the beauty. This is where AI can help. Because when you leverage AI the right way, AI can help you do the best work of your life. And today, we're going to show you how consensus AI is going to help you do the best work of your life. To do that, we're going to list our amazing seller, Lindsay, who's going to be playing our marketer/seller, Lindsay. And she's going to be pitching the big whale, the big dog in video. But in order to do that, we need to solve some problems first. So Brian, where do we start?
Yeah, great question, Anand. This journey is going to begin with the powerful consensus product experiences Lindsay's helped to build out to enable her and her team using the industry-leading demo automation consensus platform. In this platform, you've got powerful experiences like tours that let buyers try your solution and enable them to connect with how they're going to experience that as a user themselves. You've got those videos, demos that personalize to each individual stakeholder so that you can ensure you're presenting the unique, powerful value that you need to that right viewer at the right time. And simulations, which allow your buyers to explore and test drive your solution and gives you a trusted environment for those live demos. So you don't have to worry about that actual system going down in the middle of a live call. Each of these product experiences enable your buyers to engage with your solution in unique ways, allowing you to deliver the right content to the right stakeholder at the right time. But you know better than most, this content usually comes with a lot of hard work. Earlier, Anand talked a little bit about some of those pain points that are in pre-sales and other go-to-market teams across the entire org. One problem was consistent across everyone that we spoke with, though. According to our demo IQ assessment, more than half of demo creators struggle to meet demand due to bandwidth and requests from their teams. Who here resonates with that? I'm assuming most of you do. So let's talk about how consensus AI helps you do the best work of your life fast to keep up with that demand. Lindsay here is going to represent each and every one of you as that content creator trying to keep up that demand while she has that own book to work with. As Anand mentioned, she's working with that huge whale, NVIDIA, and she just sent a killer dynamic tour to Sarah at NVIDIA that showcased how her team would be using that solution, and it went viral. But now the marketing team has caught wind of it, and they want to use it on the website, but of course, they want a special version with their specific use case in mind. And they actually need it in Spanish. Well, usually that would mean hours and hours of work to try to figure out how to make that happen. But luckily, Lindsay has Consensus AI to take that core content she's built and quickly and easily create a unique version for her marketing team. So Lindsay, let's see that in action. And Lindsay, are you muted?
I sure am. How'd that go? All right, well, we got the first unmute, mute out of the way. So if anyone was betting on that, there you go. So I'm going to reshare my screen to make sure that you guys can actually hear everything. Let's do it again. I love a good live demo. Doesn't anybody else? Raise your hand. No? Okay, perfect. So as I was showing, we're going to click through. You can all see that this is a blank slate, right? This took me a few minutes to do about 8 clicks. So now I want to go back and say, hey, can I add prompts? I don't know about you, if you guys have sat in college and you're staring at the screen and half an hour later you have your name and your title and that's it. this is going to take that brain power from, even if you know exactly what you want to say on each prompt, it's going to do it for you. So in this case, I want to say highlight how easy this was and translate it into Spanish. You guys are also going to see how good I am about typing quickly under pressure. So go ahead and hit the AI tool. And now it's going to go through to each prompt, auto-generate. And actually the technology, if you were to have selected the instructional, it's very comprehensive because it's paying attention to the click before, the click you're on, and the click after. So that's how it's going to intelligently know exactly what it should be writing, what it shouldn't be writing. And then now we're doing it in Spanish as well. And there we go. You can see here, does anyone speak Spanish in the crowd? I have horrible Spanish. If you guys were in London, you would have seen how bad that was. So I've got all my prompts. If I click here, if I wanted to just be a simple prompt, I can do that. But tours can feel a little silent and lonely sometimes. So what if I wanted to enable narration? I can go ahead and do that here. So for example, hopefully this comes through. We'll click it.
Haz clic en el campo Título. El campo muestra Add Geolocation Data to Analytics View.
Amazing. And then it's done. I can go back. I can even add, if I wanted to add a little bit of narration in between clicks so that I can fill the gap there too. You have the ability to do either of it. So pretty impressive stuff. This has definitely taken a lot of my brain power and automated that piece so that I can move on with my day and do this quickly.
Lindsay, that was awesome. Just like that, you saw her take that core content and customize it to the exact needs that her marketing team had. So what would normally take days or weeks to slowly prep that and get time to handle it simply took her just a matter of minutes. So now on to chapter 2. Lindsay now just wrapped up a powerful live demo with Sarah at NVIDIA and her team using that trusted consensus simulation. So awesome. Well done, Lindsay. But she's feeling high for a few seconds, and then all of a sudden she gets the call. There's another live demo that she's getting tapped for, and guess what? That's going to happen in a few minutes. Sound familiar? Ever get pulled into those live calls out of the blue that you don't feel like you're ready for? Oh, and by the way, this company is in the healthcare industry, so she can't really use the same environment she set up for NVIDIA. She needs a demo environment that focuses on healthcare terms where buyers feel connected to the solution, not an environment with a bunch of techie lingo that's completely irrelevant to them. Again, luckily, Lindsay uses Consensus AI, so she can take that simulation she's built and quickly and easily create that unique version for that healthcare prospect. Lindsay, let's see that in action.
Perfect. So I'm sure this situation never comes up where you wrap up that really great demo. Maybe it was in manufacturing and you've got literally 30 minutes to recreate it for that healthcare. And that's assuming that no reps ping you for a quick question or can you jump on this quick call. So let's assume I have the full 30 minutes to do this. I'm going to go to Consensus AI. I'll just briefly show you though, so you can see kind of proof in the pudding. You got demo board data here. These are consensus related groups, users, and then customers. You see that these are not healthcare related at all. So let's go to Consensus AI. And in this case, I want to edit the content text. I want to edit business data. Let's do product data. And why not? Let's do metadata. So now I've pre-selected about 150 different data points. But what if I don't want to change everything? There will be situations, of course, where you want to keep some of this as is. So we're just going to go through and say, well, let's do business data. Business data, we'll get rid of Demolytics. I want to keep that. And then product data. So in this example, we'll just do 3. So now I want to come up here and say, I'm demoing to a healthcare executive. Change theme to hospitals. Perfect. So now we're going to hit generate. Now I mentioned that was 150 pieces of data that it's going to scrape through and change based on the prompt that I gave it. I'd love to hear in the chat, if your estimate, if you had to go in manually and do this 150 times, and that's without proofreading or fat fingering anything, how long do you think it would take? We heard from London, I think, what was it? No one raised their hand for more than 4 or 5 hours was like the minimum people thought that they could realistically do that. So I'm curious from the chat, do we have anybody that thinks that they could beat 3 or 4 hours? There's like, I don't want to do that. Okay, so here is where you have the original data on the left side, and I even get a little bit of snapshot of what it could look like when I apply it. So you see here, that was taken out because I said I don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and apply changes. And now you see the system, it even gave me a heads up that it's been updated so that I know that it actually went through. So let's show. You already see patient boards, right? That was demo boards before. Clinical summary is now healthcare related, but because I took out demo board demolytics, it's kept that. Patient demo board, hospital consensus now. We have different groups, healthcare sales, patient success. And let's go to customers. Perfect. Healthcare source. These are a lot more relevant to who I'm going to be demoing versus what I had before. And that took us, what, 10 seconds maybe to make those changes? I do have a bit of a problem here, though. I've got still all of my coworkers' first and last names still on here. That's no good. That won't impress my healthcare professional. So let's change these to... Anyone have who wants me to change it? If you have an idea, do Avenger characters? Do we want to do Harry Potter? Whoever gets to the chat first is who I'm going to pick. So let's change Game of Thrones. Oh, Harry Potter. Who did we get first? Client success. I'm gonna not do Harry Potter because our client success team said to. So we're gonna pick Game of Thrones. Change names to Game of Thrones characters. All right. Got a lot of Game of Thrones soccer players. That would have been a good one. The Office, perfect. All right. So here we've got Bronn, we've got Arya, Theon. Let's go ahead and apply those changes. Simulation again, letting me know that it's been updated. Going back to demo boards. Everything is still the same that I changed. Here we go. Ooh, a good Sansa Stark. Bronn. Daenerys. Good for Melissa. She got Daenerys. Except for in the end. Spoiler alert. But all right, so we've changed everything. Last but not least, I really want to impress them by changing the logo. Sometimes the smallest details can make a big impact. So I'm going to come here real quick. I'm going to select healthcare, my healthcare logo. We've got a lot of good GIFs in here. I love that. Let's see if I can get my healthcare logo to show up. For some reason, my thing doesn't really want to do healthcare on my screen. That's okay. We will find another source here. Do we have any more got jokes here for us? I got a good winter is coming. If you're in the Midwest, you know that's more realistic than anything. You know what? I'm going to do a screenshot of our Demo Fest event because that's the one that I can find in my perfect. So we're going to pretend that logo is a healthcare logo, but we changed it. So that's the bonus of all this. Awesome. Back to you. I will stop sharing my screen. Brian, you made a Lindsay mistake and are on mute.
All right, timestamp 20 minutes and 30 seconds for count 2 of the unmute. So that quick and easily, you saw Lindsay take what was originally built for NVIDIA and tweak it over to healthcare. She customized that environment to make sure that that healthcare prospect felt like they could connect with it and it felt meaningful and they could understand terms and connect it to how they would actually use the platform. Personalize it to that audience as well, and then anonymize it, which is going to make sure that she's on the up and up with that security and privacy team, which I'm sure if you're ever demoing your live environment is something that you've probably ran into in the past, where you have those team member names or some other client name that slips through. With that Consensus AI tool, you can take those simulations and allow it to easily go through and make sure that everything in there is taken care of. So they don't have that one name on that one page that happened to slip by as you were going through trying to manually update it, getting ready for that call. You know, NVIDIA really is the whale that's supposed to be focused on inside of the story, but no good deed goes unpunished. And this is probably exactly what you experience as well in your own day-to-day, that while you're working with these whales, there's those constant requests of this piece of content, or, hey, this was really cool. Can you make it specific for this other use case? Consensus AI is there to help enable you to solve for those needs quickly so that you can make really strong, powerful content while still focusing on those big whales, those other prospects, that book of business that you need to be able to focus on as well. And so your backlog doesn't get clogged with these constant requests that come through. You can easily utilize that Consensus AI to streamline that backlog through and still feel like that rock star, because what you're producing is truly high quality that those other team members can use. But I know what you're thinking. Well, first, hopefully you're thinking, hey, how do I get my hands on this so I can use it to level up my content? But this is Consensus, right? What about video, your flagship product experience, the vital piece in showcasing the value of your solution? Don't worry, we've got you completely covered there too. Using our Consensus Studio AI, Lindsay can now quickly and easily generate studio quality video demos in a matter of minutes, even with background noise, misclicks, and things like that. So Lindsay, let's pass it over to you.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do my very best to make the worst demo you've ever heard. So please don't judge me. This is done intentionally so you can see just how incredible this is to take out those awkward ums, especially for a lot of you that maybe you only have a few people on your team that do recordings very well and on the first time. So this will even help kind of open up the door for other content creators to sort of spread that bandwidth. So in this example, I'm going to do a short, horrible demo. And then my second point is my Spanish market actually needs a copy of this as well. And I've got to do this all within another half-hour time slot. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hit start recording. With ums. Ethan, you're going to hear so many ums. It's going to be kind of painful. I promise you that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's going to count down for me. Thanks to NVIDIA for your time today. We went over demo board Demolytics. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom so you can see the hospital consensus. And I'm going to go down to customers as well. I can't tell you how less sad that makes me, you guys, to do that. I tried the best that I could. Okay, so here is the final product, or the first product. I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Thanks to NVIDIA for your time today. We went over demo board Demolytics. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom so you can see the hospital consensus. And I'm going to go down to customers as well. Ooh, brutal, you guys. Okay, so can't have that, would never send it. I'd have to re-record it. So let's go ahead and hit generate AI. So it's going to remove the ums. As I mentioned, I do have 2 golden retrievers back here as well. So it's not uncommon when I'm hitting record for them to all of a sudden come from a deep sleep and start barking and playing with each other, only for me to have to hit pause, go take care of them, and then come back to it. I'm curious for you guys, we'll play a little game. Yeah, we're home live. We'll play a little game. How many of you have had to redo a recording because of background noise? Maybe we'll do it like per week. Like how many times per week have you had to redo something because of background? Heather, so many times. I get it. Okay, so it's processed. I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Thank you, Nvidia, for taking the time to meet today. We discussed demo board and demolytics, and now I'm going to scroll down to show you the hospital consensus. Let's also take a look at the customer section.
Oh man, you guys, that was pretty good, right? And that was with no dog barking either. But you notice how it pulled away immediately my awkward ums, so I could get this document out. Dude, we have not only that, but it actually will add the document for me. So if you're walking through, let's say this was 10 more steps, it'll actually auto-generate for me. So if you are a consensus user, you can actually upload this demo and then put this document even as a clickable action item. So we'll go back to video. Tim, I'm getting to that point. That's a fair point. So let's say I didn't love that that AI voice, right? I can go here and I can change it. I'm actually going to change it to Ty.
We're going to check out the software. So I'm here on software.com.
like
Let's start
better.
by clicking on order now.
And if I go down to the script, maybe I made a mistake and I actually am not going to send this to NVIDIA. I want to send it to Apple instead. Right? How many times have you made a recording or even rebranding? How many recordings do you guys have and your marketing team has now rebranded something and you have to go back and now re-record all of those videos? Sounds pretty brutal to me. I can only imagine for some of you how many demos you guys have to do that for. So in this case, you can actually go back and re-change it based on what you need. So I'm going to refresh my voiceover.
Thank you, Apple, for taking the time to meet today. We discussed demo board and demolytics, and now I'm going to scroll down to show you the hospital consensus. Let's also take a look at the customer section.
Okay, so changed Apple from NVIDIA, changed the voice because I prefer Ty. He's our buyer enablement person's voice over mine. I hate my voice, so I'd probably change it even if you guys had that as an option. Now, finally, this was great, but let's change it to Spanish, right? Because we talked about the Spanish market needing this as well. So come up here, Spanish, you see a long list of other options. Let's go with this one, create translation. Oops. There we go. Sorry, I didn't click that right. We are living in the future. Heather, I hear you. I love that. All right. Now, my Spanish is horrible. If you were at London Demo Fest, that was very clear to you. But here we go with this. And let's say I want to change to, well, let's keep Carlos. That'll be fine.
Gracias, Apple, por darse el tiempo de reunirse hoy. Ya hablamos sobre Demo Board y Demolytics, y ahora voy a bajar un poco para que vean el Hospital Consensus. También vamos a echarle un vistazo a la sección de clientes.
I think muy bueno, muy bien. Awesome. So you guys saw it, right? Quick demo, lots of ums, got rid of all of that, gave me a document. If I did it in Spanish, now that document is in Spanish as well. So I have to go spend time creating that or retranslating it. And we did it in Spanish. So muy bien. Thanks, Heather. Muy bien. I'm going to stop sharing. And then you're starting on mute. We're 3 for 3. I think you did that on purpose.
You all got it
anyway.
on. That's perfect. All right. So that was amazing, though, right? We actually got to see personalized, professional, polished content, whether it was a tour, a video, a simulation, get created not in hours or days, but in minutes, right? And that's accelerating that time for you to create content. And then now your bigger challenge is, how much content do I want to go out and create? So I think problem number one, checked off the box, but that's just the start of it. Brian, what's next on the list?
Brian,
Brian's,
round 2.
Oh man, round two. All right, I'm 2 for 2, everyone. So you saw now some of the amazing ways that Consensus AI can help you generate good, strong quality content. But that's of course not the end of it. We all know that buying groups are continuing to grow across B2B sales. Analysts are showing anywhere from 12 plus stakeholders per deal. So personalizing content to each of these stakeholders is becoming a bigger and bigger challenge across all the go-to-market teams. And you can easily lose hours, if not days, just going back and forth with your different stakeholders just to get them the content they need, when in reality, more often than not, they would prefer to just self-serve and find that content the way that you're used to doing for your personal shopping or discovery that you're doing. And remember that whale Lindsay's working on over at NVIDIA? Well, now she's getting feedback from Sarah over there at NVIDIA that the VP of marketing needs to get involved. This is something she's heard from her teams before in the past and seems to be becoming a trend almost. So luckily, because she uses consensus discovery demos, that means she's got one demo. Lindsay has a single demo that can personalize and guide each individual stakeholder throughout their entire journey. So instead of having to go back and forth with each of those individual prospects, could you imagine doing that with a dozen different people and wasting how many hours going in there and trying to do that? She can go into that discovery demo and add that new additional stakeholder that's starting to get involved with that deal and set up that unique custom flow of experiences within that discovery demo to be able to enable that new stakeholder to self-educate and easily find the content that they need. So Lindsay, let's see that in action.
Awesome. Okay, so as the title says, this is one demo to rule them all. So if you are a consensus user, you'll recognize this step. It's step 3 in your 6-step wizard when you're creating content after you come to that Create Plus button. So here I'm going to go into a discovery builder that I actually have already worked on before, right? Because I'm trying not to duplicate repetitive aspects of my job. So as a seller, I see patterns. I know what my personas and my buyer personas typically want to see, whether it's a certain type of experience based on if it's an end user versus somebody in C-suite, and what that persona's pain points are. So I've already, through my discovery, created this, and now I just want to build on it. So Brian mentioned, after internal calls, my champion said, hey, hold off on marketing. I'm not sure if they need to get involved yet or if we want them to. Let me get back with you next week. They had those internal conversations, and just as I suspected, marketing is back on the table. So here's my link that rules them all. I'm going to hit a quick ad here so that when they get to that first question in the beginning, what's your job function, that marketing persona will have an opportunity to participate. Over here, I want to grab one of my, let's do the webinar or the tour I just created with you guys, because that's in Spanish, and through my discovery with my champion, they're actually trying to get into the Spanish market. So we're going to go ahead, attach it to the experience, and then we're done. Once I hit save and continue, anybody that got this link previously will now see that. So I don't have to worry about going back to everybody that I sent it before and making sure that they have the right version. They can get that right from here. And I can just continue as we go through our discussions. I can continue to add, take away, make a new experience, no matter what's happening in that evaluation and in our conversations.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. That is so powerful. I specifically didn't mute myself to make sure I didn't forget to unmute. But there are so many different ways that each of your individual stakeholders are going to want to learn. And so being able to create these pathways for them, for that VP or C-level executive that is probably not going to want to jump into a product tour, but needs the type of video demos that lay out the value and benefits that they're going to get, or down to that end user that doesn't want to sit there and be told about the value they're going to get. They want to jump into the experience and go into that product tour, into that simulation, and be able to touch and feel that solution. These discovery demos will allow you to build those paths uniquely for each of those individual stakeholders so that you can enable them to self-educate and dig into that solution and save you so much time from having to have that back and forth within every single individual opportunity that you're working with. And then as you learn and grow, and as more stakeholders become involved, because now everyone is seeing that finance is becoming more and more involved with every conversation, you can build out that discovery demo to include those new core stakeholders and make sure that you can guide them to that content that's best going to feed them to that close won opportunity. And so you can hopefully see now with that consensus AI driving that content, making sure that you can build powerful content quickly, easily, and fast, along with the discovery demo functionality that allows you to build out those custom unique flows exactly in the way that you know those stakeholders need. That consensus truly does help you do the best work of your life.
Awesome. So content creation checked, problems with being able to create personalized journeys checked off. So now that leads us to the next big challenge that we run into, right? Which is, what do I do next, right? And you know, you could be thrown into a situation too, let alone when you already know the accounts you're dealing with. Hey, we just realigned your territories. You have a whole new set of accounts. Congratulations, get going. You need to start closing these. And you're like, great, okay, where do I start? I'll go into my CRM and I'll check the opportunity, see if there's some notes. I better check the account because they may have put some notes on that as well. And then I'm going to go over to Gong and I'll check some of the conversations that were happening to see what they talked about. I can't forget to go over to Consensus to see what experiences that they viewed. And then, and that's exhausting, right? It's exhausting even saying it, let alone having to walk through that. So how do I find all those golden nuggets, right? With all that information that's out there and figure out what is it that I really need to act upon, right? Now, if this was my personal life, and I needed to find some answers and I had a challenge like this, you know, where would I go? Obviously my wife. But if she wasn't around, then I would go to my favorite LLM like ChatGPT, for example. So here's the next problem. Which LLM do I go to? Because there are so many that are out there, right? Whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, and then each of your apps and solutions have their own agents. So great, like which one am I going to go to? The reality is, regardless of which one you go to, the most important thing that these need to have, the most important thing that is necessary for them to actually help you is context, right? The context of your business, your product experiences, of your data. So that's great. I mean, but how do normally I would have to go prompt, and that's what the whole prompt engineering thing is, to slowly build up that context so it knows what to do. I don't have time for that. So how do I give that context regardless of which agent I'm using? And this is where Consensus MCP comes into play. It allows you to connect your agents to the power of the product experience platform. So what is MCP? Think of it like an app store for your agents, right? You want to download some data or some tools that you want your agent to have access to. You just download the app, plug it into your agent, and boom, you've got access to that. So say you want your agent to have access to all the product experiences and the analytics and the information related to what they have and be able to share those out. You download the Consensus MCP, plug it into your agent, and boom, you've got that at your agent's fingertips. So we're going to show this in action, but first, let's remember the problem we're trying to solve. How do we, with all this different data and all this different information, get to the right next best actions to solve? So Lindsay, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so in this example, right, I've bounced around. I started with NVIDIA. I had to change that demo to do healthcare. I'm now adding to my one size fits all. So this is a pretty average day for an AE or pre-sales, right? You're bouncing in between, you're coming back to projects. My brain is overloaded. It's getting close to the end of the day and I'm already fried. So I want to help, or Claude is going to help me determine. In this case, I'm selling to the CEO now of NVIDIA, to the CEO of NVIDIA. And I don't know, what should I even send them? Because I've got one shot with the CEO here and I want to nail it. So I'm going to ask, what demo should I send? So there's a few things that Anand was talking about in the background of being able to connect different sources. So traditionally without this, I'd have to go to my HubSpot account. I'd have to go to LinkedIn, do some research. I'd have to then go into Consensus to see what kind of demos we have, what we don't have, and then spend time searching and previewing which ones. So instead, this is actually pulling for me, and this dropdown will even show me where it's coming from. So I know exactly why it's thinking those recommendations. And you'll notice here, it's giving me a best option classic consensus for a CRO. It says why it's recommending that, and it's even giving me alternative options. So it's detailing exactly what it is, where the demo is, and why they're recommending it. And it's even kind enough to ask at the bottom here if it wants me, or if it wants it to create a demo board for me, which is very nice. But I've just remembered I'm actually selling to other stakeholders. So I need to know who those stakeholders are and what I should send them. So I'm going to go ahead and prompt it here. Click go. And it's going to do the same thing, right? It's going to keep pulling from all of my sources to tell me who they are, what it recommends, and why. Now, one thing, and I don't know if it'll show on this one, that I like, especially as a rep, is sometimes I get a little panicked thinking, did it miss something? Is there actually a demo in there that would be good too, but it's just not thinking to recommend it? It'll actually call out if there isn't a demo for that stakeholder or persona. So that happened to me 2 weeks ago. As I went through, I noticed that we didn't have one for our customer success. So all I had to do was take a snippet of what the persona was and what the recommendation was as far as what kind of content should be in that demo. I sent it to my team because odds are if I'm asking what demo should be sent for a certain persona and we don't have it, it's likely I'm going to need that for the future anyway. So I want to make my content team aware that that's something that we internally need to create on the back end. And so here you go. I've got my full list. I've got names. I've got the recommended demo, Colette, Jay. I can now go through and do my own research and make sure that I'm sending the right demo at the right time.
And that was really powerful. I mean, if you think about what Lindsay just did, she took one stakeholder, one buyer, and turned that into an entire buying group, and was able to find personalized content that's relevant to each one of those. And as she called out, if there's content missing, that's a call to action to her pre-sales and her content team to go find and generate that content as well, because likely she's going to need that in other prospects as well. This is taking that reactive selling that we often do and turning that into much more proactive orchestration. And this is just the start. As you layer on more and more of your tech stack and your tools on top of this, you're going to be able to drive more and more insights out of that, right? And we talked about context earlier, right? The way you get context for AIs and your agents is through data. And that's why we've aligned with a set of key strategic partners along the way, each of whom have their own unique insights. But when you layer those together, you get really, really powerful buyer signals that it can help you inform deal health, forecasting, and obviously drive those recommendations we were talking about. Imagine if you were to be able to say, hey, you know what? I actually see that this deal is about to go south because of the engagement and the interactions that are happening. So I'm going to go proactively make sure that that doesn't happen. Being able to really get out ahead is the critical piece here. And not having, when you look at all of these pieces, this gives you that coverage, that 100% coverage, whether they're in a meeting with you, when they're not talking to you, of seeing everything that they're doing, right? This is taking those individual data silos, turning that into a set of integrations, and ultimately transforming that into an ecosystem of insights. And that's really going to be game changing for you, because now you'll really be able to do and execute your job much more effectively, because you know what's happening before it does. So we've covered a lot today. I think we've shown how we can leverage AI with purpose, again, to solve problems, to provide value, whether it's leveraging our AI content studio around creating easy, personalized professional content for tours, simulations, and demos and videos, being able to leverage our discovery demos to create personalized, infinitely scalable buyer journeys for your entire buying group, or leveraging MCP to gather and connect the dots on all your data to give you the best guidance and next steps to be the most successful as possible. Now, there's a lot of innovation that we have coming along this front, but I just want to thank you all for joining us on this journey. And I think today we've shown that Consensus AI can help you do the best work of your life. And with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Nicole to lead some questions and answers here.
Yes. I mean, how cool is all of this information? Huge thank you to Anand, Brian, and Lindsay for walking us through this content, for live demoing. I mean, Lindsay crushed it. I think we can all agree on that. But yeah, let's get into some questions. I saw a bunch come through, so I'll kind of just filter through. The first is there consensus AI Studio certification and or training?
There is training content available for that. There's not a specific certification that we've got available, but there is a lot of training material and content so that you know exactly how to use that.
Perfect. And then there were a lot of questions about, and I think Anand, I saw you kind of jump in the chat here and there about like the AI voice and the pronunciation or the tone. You guys want to just touch on that a little bit more while we have the time?
Sure, yeah. I mean, with the voices, I mean, so there's two pieces of this. One, as far as the voice itself, what you want to choose. I mean, you have the ability, as you saw, Lindsay, she selected Ty, who's actually part of our buyer enablement team. So you can add your own voices into that mix or use one of the pre-canned voices. So it does still feel like you in those scenarios, while just a slightly more polished version of you. But that being said, I mean, there are scenarios, right, where you do want to be truly authentic, and actually sometimes you want to have a little bit of that unpolished feel to it. And that's some of that is just a decision you need to make based off of the situation. The goal here is like, how do you unlock it? Because a lot of the time, like I know for me, for example, even when I record videos, it's probably like 25 takes minimum before I get it right. Just having something that can clean that out, especially in cases where, you know what, I don't necessarily need to have my voice in there all the time, but something that I want to be able to scale that content. It just unlocks the ability for more people to be able to do that, do it much more quickly in a much more polished fashion for a lot of us that don't have those skills to like, hey, I want to add music or make this all really fancy and add all these zooms in there. So it's, again, I mean, at the end of the day, this is the tool to help you achieve those goals, and how you choose to use it is really dependent on that situation.
Yeah, I would just add to that. What we're seeing is within early and mid-stage funnel, this tool works incredibly powerful. When you start to get to the later stage, that's where you may want to lean a little bit more into the raw, authentic. You're trying to make those personal connections as you're getting ready to move that deal into client success. You can still use that Trooper solution if there are that Consensus Studio, if there are opportunities there, right? Especially like Anand said, to be able to take that rep that maybe isn't the greatest on camera, but knows the system incredibly well. Use that resource now. You're not stuck having to find that resource that knows your solution and knows how to present themselves as well, because not everyone's a TikTok star. And so if you can use resources and unlock them that weren't really available before to you, then you have this all of a sudden great opportunity to source content across the board instead of feeling like it's all landing on your plate.
Perfect. And this question kind of goes along with it, but I thought it was interesting. I remember the first pitch of Consensus was that personal recordings have higher view rates than AI content. What's your take on that now? Do you have new reports that encourage AI content?
Brian, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so AI content is still early stage, and so a lot of the analysts and others are still reviewing what the impact is to the viewer on AI content. If you go on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, whatever it is, you're starting to see more and more AI content. And so all of the analysts are trying to understand that. But I think if you think about your reaction to the content, that's the best way to be thinking about it right now. Usually, if it's hyper polished, like overly polished, you can kind of tell where AI is coming in and it's not natural. So that's where it's important to use AI as a tool, not as the full solution. It should simply be one of the elements added inside of your tool belt. That's where having that tour and utilizing your screens to showcase the solution itself connects them to that solution. If it happens to just be the voice that's AI so that it's cleaned up, that's very different than if you're just an AI talking head trying to explain something or do something. So I think it's the way in which you're deploying AI inside of that video or inside of that tour, and not overemphasizing or over relying on that AI, but simply using it as that cleanup tool while you present that raw, authentic solution to that buyer.
I think just speaking from a rep and hybrid pre-sales, since I've been doing my demos for 3 years, is being able to, like in that example where marketing changed a name for something, and I've already created 15 of these demos that are more or less the exact same other than me referencing the wrong name now, being able to quickly go back and change those to buy myself time if I want to redo them in a different way is a huge lever here. That way I could still make the changes, but not have to redo it. And it, could take weeks or months to do it the old fashioned way. And then it's buying me that time to then recreate it if I want, or maybe I do want to redo the demos in its entirety. So.
I see a bunch of questions in the chat here, so maybe we can start talking to some of those. The first question was related to MCP and how that connects with regards to like connecting to Salesforce and that CRM data. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can slice and dice it. That's one of the beauties of MCP and kind of obviously being all API centric is this MCP. So Agentforce as an example, if you were to look at Salesforce, that actually is an MCP client, which means you could plug in Consensus directly into that, and it would have the access to all the Salesforce information as well as Consensus. One of the things that we're doing, because as we share these demos through demo boards, we link up those opportunities to help you see where that impact is helping you. We can also leverage that information even in our recommendations or so. Hey, these particular demos are affecting these opportunities. So there's multiple ways that you can really slice and dice that depending on how you want to set that up. But that's kind of, again, that's the power of having something like this, is it gives you that flexibility.
Perfect. One question was, can this go back and update our huge library of existing Consensus demos?
So you can take existing videos and upload it in that and polish those videos. So you have the ability of doing that. Right now, we don't have something that does like a mass bulk update of everything at once, but you definitely have the ability to go do that. So you could actually go in and clean all of that content up, or pick and choose, based on, hey, I want to filter out everything that was created a year ago and say, hey, okay, I'm going to go update each of these ones.
Great. And then take me through the process of training Consensus on a product. What does that look like, time to operational?
So here's the beauty of everything we showed is these don't require training, right? So, and it's funny, we had this, somebody asked us this question even at London Demo Fest is, well, how did it know to do all those things that, how many times did you have to run through this before you got it right? And that was the beauty, is this was, most of these runs were net new recordings. One of the examples we talked to, which was Alto Demo, which is another demo site that we run, that's something that we just create, but it's not actually requiring you to train because it has a lot of the data, it has the AI in it to actually pick apart and choose, hey, here are the key things that are being discussed and here and not. So from that perspective, Bill, that's actually, it allows you to actually get up and running with a lot of these pieces right off the bat. Now, there's obviously net nuances, things that you're going to have as far as like saying, hey, which are demos that are relevant to these particular buyers or these roles. And as you build more of that, as you get more of that data and Consensus, that's going to help you build up, hey, we know that this particular demo has this view rate. And so because of that view rate, this is something we would recommend over another demo. So those are some of the things that just build over time as the data increases there. But from a training perspective, you don't have to worry about that piece.
Okay. And then I think to wrap it up, we had a question that said, is TruePeer your tool or a third-party tool? Do you guys want to just touch on that for a minute, just to kind of close this out?
Yeah, TruePeer is a strategic partner of ours, so that is kind of built into Consensus, and so this is a AI content studio for them that's specifically for Consensus.
Perfect. And they're actually doing a webinar with us on November 20th. So that'll be kind of like part 2 in our series. More info will be going out on that next week. So keep an eye out there. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up at this time. If there's any questions that we did not get to, please reach out. We are more than happy to answer them. We will also be sharing the recording of this session tomorrow via email. So share it with all your colleagues and friends, and pass it around. But again, thank you to Brian, Anand, and Lindsay. Really appreciate your time and effort today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we're excited to see you at the next one.